CNBC TV18 and CNBC Awaaz present the REIT Connect in partnership with IRA.
Hello and welcome to REIT Connect, our special offering on understanding real estate investment trusts as an asset class which can be part of your diversified portfolio. Now, very recently, SEBI chairperson said that there is big potential ahead for business trusts like REITs and InvITs. Let's find out more about SEBI's views on the growth potential for REITs. I'm joined by today a special guest, Pramod Rao, who is the Executive Director at SEBI right here in our studios. Mr. Rao, so good to have you on CNBC TV18.
Thank you.
Now, my first question, what is SEBI's vision on business trusts as investment category, both REITs as well as InvITs?
I think I will put it in 2 or 3 buckets. Indeed, I think it's a great opportunity for sponsors and developers to monetize the revenue generating assets they have created on the ground. Right. There's an opportunity for investors to partake in that, and as those assets perform, they can have exposure to that. And I think the way I would equally put it is that when these assets are monetized, the virtuous cycle of further capital goods creation, sort of gets fueled. And indeed, you mentioned Chairperson's, sort of outline. I would echo that. I think there is a full potential of this actually equaling our GDP if we get it right across corporates, municipal corporations, and indeed the government sector as well, harnessing these innovative financial instruments.
Right. So it has the potential. But what are the measures? See, it came a long way. These business trusts, Mr. Rao, we have been seeing it for more than a decade in the inception stage, and then a lot of tax-related efficiencies were brought in to make it more attractive. So several policy decisions were taken to make it attractive and a viable asset class for investments, for investors to make returns. Now, what is SEBI doing as 2.0 steps to make them much more robust and to enhance the liquidity and for investors to get attracted more to these products?
I think I will again sort of go into 2 elements which are there. One, while you mentioned it's been 10 years in the making, we should not sort of underplay what has been achieved. It's nearly now 4 lakh crores in asset under management of both REITs and InvITs combined. That's a huge number. I think we should sort of just acknowledge that itself. I think what it can and what further measures, I would say last year, for instance, we took the step of empowering investors at a certain holding level, or if they come together, to have representation on the investment manager. To us, that was sort of, again, bolstering the position for both investors and long-term investors to have a seat at the table and be able to interact and know what the InvIT and REITs are sort of planning and doing. I think beyond that, equally what I would say is we are very encouraged because a lot of foreign investors are coming into this segment, largely sovereign wealth funds, but overseas pension funds. So I'm hoping that, the Indian pension funds and insurance companies also take cues, because this is a natural, sort of long-term asset for them also to be in part of.
Yes.
So I think these are what one is hoping start to take roots. Retail in an organic way has already reached a good high number. And I think it's without the benefit of, the association, for instance, of REITs, which we've encouraged creation of,
yes,
as also InvITs. And I think when they start to equally make, events like this, which are investor education and investor outreach, I think there'll be a far more traction.
Right. So you spoke about retail. Let's focus on different categories of investors. Now, retail is something SEBI closely watches out for, and for the protection of the minority investors. Now, for retail traction to increase, and this particular product is unique in a way that it has a sure dividend every 3 months, which is not there in other unit equity kind of products. So it is unique in a way. How would you say the retail participants can really gain momentum, and what is SEBI's view on the participation going forward?
So, one, I don't think it's assured return. I think it is indeed return from what the asset is generating. So I just want to put that out there. I don't want investors to think that this is a short return product. It will vary with, how the asset is performing, for sure. But it's a real asset, whether it's real estate or whether it's an infrastructure asset. I think that's the direct participation that investors get. I think to me, there are 2 or 3 sort of things which I'm hoping evolve and get in further retail non-institutional investor participation. I think one would be very clearly if we can see mutual fund schemes which are targeted at this segment. At times when I've spoken with them, what they've said is there are too few to sort of immediately launch a scheme and do things. But I think if it is a mix of both REITs and InvITs, there should be something possible. So I'm hoping that there are thematic or there are, or even for that matter, index which is created on REITs and InvITs. NSC launched one such index last year.
Yes.
So again, there's opportunity for, mutual funds to sort of look at that. I think that again brings both investor confidence that there are institutional investors willing to look at it from the domestic side as much. I think that will go a long way.
Right. So the traction in mutual funds need to increase. So a lot of them do share that there are a few changes and tweaks. If they are made, then their traction could really increase. But we spoke about institutional investors. Now, non-institutional investors, especially foreign investors, they like clarity as well as simplification. Do you think anything is on the anvil for further simplification or for attracting them more towards business trusts?
So I think all of the building blocks are in place. So that would be transparency, that these are well governed, that there are due disclosures, and much more than I would say other pooled investment vehicles. If I had to look at AIFs or mutual funds, the unit holders are consulted on a host of issues.
Right.
So they have approval rights on at varying scales, some majority, some at 60%, some at 75%. I think all of this has meant that there is a high degree of confidence. The investors that we've interacted with, many of them institutional, many of them from overseas. I think the next level, if at all, like I said, has to come with retailization. And I think retailization comes when it's not a REIT or a InvIT which is promoting the instrument or the product, but an association doing it. There's a neutrality to it. There is the explaining of these instruments, the business trusts and units, which I think has now got started with the Indian REITs Association, I think, coming together. And I'm hoping that is what investor education leads to far more retail participation.
Right. So we have seen at the behest of SEBI in the past, AMFI was also created. And look at their stupendous journey right now and the kind of inflows that they attract.
Exactly.
So you think that that can be achieved through the efforts that are being taken in REITs and InvITs as well?
Yeah, I mean, that's the example we hold up to the Indian REITs Association and to Bharat InvIT Association, which is AMFI has, and both their campaign in terms of mutual funds sahi hai. Yes. I keep telling them, you have to say REITs right hai, things like that. Right. And I think those are the measures which will propel it to a different level altogether. And that's why I hark to that, it is 4 lakh crores so quietly, so efficiently,
yes,
without, any of this. And if you imagine now that you will have a far more educated outreach to retail, yes, I think it'll really grow even more stupendously.
REITs, from the beginning, it is a much newer product and it is now coming up with its different versions and small ticket versions as well. But great chatting with you, Pramod Rao. Thank you so much for all your insights on the development of the new asset classes like REITs and InvITs. Thank you so much for joining us
here. Thank you for having me, Nisha.
CNBC TV18 and CNBC Awaaz present the REIT Connect in partnership with IRA.